Welcome to the MomSense Podcast. I'm your host, Kambria.
And I'm Kyleigh.
We are here to talk about the ups and downs and, just like chaos and fun.
Yes.
Moments of motherhood. So originally, my husband Justin from Thrive Coaching Podcast was like, we need a mom podcast. You should find some mom friends and have them do it. And I was like, I'm a mom.
Right? I saw Justin's Facebook post.
Yeah.
And I just reached out like, hey, I think I might be interested in something like this. He's like, great. Call Cam.
Yeah. And so now all of a sudden, here we are. Isn't that fun?
It's so fun.
But what's really cool about us as moms is that we have two totally separate, different, whatever, aspects of life. Not aspects, but like...
We're just in different places. Different places.
Absolutely. So
different experiences.
I have 3 kids, 12, 3, 1.
I have 1, and he is almost 8 months.
Gosh.
Yeah, and it goes so fast.
Are you planning his first birthday party yet?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So I dropped the ball, and Oakley didn't have a first birthday, but
That's okay. She's number 3.
Yeah. 3rd kid, she'll have a great second birthday. I shouldn't have said that on here because now I gotta hold myself accountable.
She won't remember.
No, exactly.
The first birthday party's for the parents. It's not for the kids.
Literally, that's what Justin said. He hates going to birthday parties in general, but especially
I'll
children.
be sure to invite him.
Yeah. And to be like, you must come. Yeah, he hates it. But anyway, so Kyleigh is a former hairdresser.
Yes.
Now she works with my husband.
I do.
I'm sorry about that. And then you are also a police officer's wife.
I am. Yep. So I did hair for 7 years, and then which I loved doing hair. I miss it so much. When I got to the point where I was ready to start having a family, get married, have babies, my husband and I just had some really candid conversations about what does life look like. As a hairstylist, you're working 12, 14-hour days, 5-6 days a week. You're working on the weekends. It's late nights, early mornings, all the things, you don't have benefits or PTO or any of that stuff. And so we just decided what was best for us is for me to look for another opportunity. And so
I love that. And I love that y'all had a collaborative effort on that decision. That's cool. That's how marriage should be.
Yeah. And, I also was going through some health stuff. And so it just kind of made sense. God put the next opportunity in front of me very quickly. While I was still doing hair, I onboarded at my current place, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, like you said, my husband's a police officer. And so again, long hours, long days. Yeah. And
honestly, shout out to all police officers, firefighter, anyone whose spouse is serving. That's not an easy job for you. That's not an easy job for him. Yeah. And as parents, I can't even imagine. Yeah. That's a lot.
I've got some stories.
We will get into those stories. And then so for me, I am a stay-at-home mom, kind of. I do real estate on the side. I do all of the podcasting stuff for Justin behind the scenes that y'all don't see.
The mom boss.
Yeah. And then run his tool company, just like the books and all of that. But yeah, so let's talk today. We are gonna talk about a sensitive subject for some. Minding your own momming. Or just mind your own freaking business.
Yeah.
So as a mom, everyone has an opinion. But, God gave you these children, this son, because he trusted you to take care of them in the best way that you know how. And so many people have an opinion on, for one, so you're in the, he's 8 months old.
Yes.
And I don't even know. And it doesn't even matter. Is he breastfed? Is he bottle fed? Who cares? Is your baby fed?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And he's growing perfectly.
Yeah, it's insane. that is something that I've even now, like being on the other side of it in the beginning of pregnancy and my start to a journey as a mom, I was like, I welcome all the advice. And then the advice started pouring in and I was like, pause.
Yeah, like, please don't. Now I'm overwhelmed.
And so, but I won't lie, like I find myself doing that to other people. And I think that it's such a fine line. Like because you've been through it and you're so excited for whoever it is that you're talking to, that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to tell you all the things so that you're prepared, because I wasn't prepared no matter what everybody told me. And it's because what works for you and what works for them is going to be so different.
Yes. And you know what? You're never prepared. Nobody's ever ready. Like, never. You just think like, oh, I got this. I read every book. I follow so-and-so on Instagram that tells me how my baby's sleep schedule is going to work. Yes. Guess what? Your baby's not going to do that.
My son doesn't nap for nothing.
Oh, see, I got some sleepyhead kids. I'm so blessed.
He's, like I said, he's almost 8 months old, and he still wakes up 2 or 3 times throughout the night.
Oh.
Still doing
that.
That's
rough.
Hey, you know what? It's okay. Because one day I'm going to look back and be like, I miss these moments of, like, just me and him and our quiet time. And whether that's in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day, I'm going to miss it someday.
Yeah. Like, Oakley's about to walk, and I'm like, I just want to hold you. Whenever I try to, like, just squeeze her. No. Yeah, she's like, get off of me. And obviously, I can't smother Kinsey and Jet because they're too old now and they're too cool. Well, so I have an instance, which I said minding my own momming, but this is like the opposite side of it. And it was really cool to have this experience because it just really showed me, like, some days you just need words of encouragement as a mom.
Yeah.
And whenever you have people judging you, like, literally, I mean, my kids at a restaurant, we get some looks. Especially whenever we go eat Mexican food and, like, they have, like, rice and beans.
Everything all over them.
You know what? But they're eating, and I'm not having to feed them. I'm letting them figure it out.
You're like, I'm having me a mommy margarita in a minute, okay?
Exactly. So one instance, which was really cool for me, was so getting the kids out the door is never easy. Whether you have 1, whether you have 12, it's never easy. You're going to forget something most of the time, if you're me at least. Running late, whatever. So when Jet was in Mother's Day out, Kinsey would already be off to school, and I would take him to school, and there were some days where my babysitter wasn't there, and I would have to take Oakley. So that means getting up early, feeding Oakley, getting her ready, then getting Jet ready, making sure lunch is ready, and getting out the door. Well, in this moment, Jet just decided, you know what? I can get myself dressed. And I mean, he would have his shirt on backwards, shoes on the wrong foot, shorts backwards, like inside out, whatever, you name it. And this went on for like 3 or 4 times. And his teacher told me, she was like, I love that you don't correct him. I love that you just go with the flow. And in that moment, I didn't know how much I needed to hear that, because it was like, it's fine. Like, let them be kids. Because
absolutely,
if that was helping me, get out the door.
Yes.
Who freaking cares?
I have told my friends, if you knew me before my mom era, I was on time for everything. I was 5 minutes early. I was on it all the time. If you know me in my mom era, I'm late to everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, by 15 minutes, at least. Like, I shouldn't say this. I'm supposed to be at work at 9. I can't tell you how many days out of the week I show up at 9:10, 9:15.
I mean, it's hard.
Then there are other days that Xander's awake early, and I'm at work an hour early because, you know what, he's up, and why not?
Why not? Yeah, exactly.
But absolutely. And
that's why you just have to give yourself that grace.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It is. Xander's in daycare full time, and dropping him off in the morning, I can't tell you how amazing it is to have a daycare that you love and that your kids are going to be taken care of at. But not only that, when you walk in the room and the teachers are like, oh my gosh, you smell so good, or your hair looks great today, or I love your shoes. Yes. Or the other day I walked in and one of the girls that's not typically in there, she was in there helping out because they had a little bit over head count. She said, you just always look so put together. And I was just like, oh, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that.
And that goes so far. Like,
it
just
does.
the little things. Like, always compliment someone.
It does.
Especially moms, whenever you don't know how their morning was.
You don't know what their weekend looked like. And Monday they're coming into work and they're flustered and they're tired. And or, they're out shopping because they just need 5 minutes to be by themselves.
Exactly.
What did their day look like? You have no idea.
No, you don't. And that's what, like, mind your own momming.
Yeah.
Worry about yourself. Like, seriously. And like I said, always compliment somebody. You never know how much they need that or how, I mean, nobody's day is just easy.
No.
And you may look at somebody and you're scrolling on Instagram like, oh my gosh, her life looks ideal. Look at everything she has. And I'm like,
it's a perfect picture.
Yeah.
That's what it is. A picture.
And so you said earlier, sometimes you struggle because you're like, I mean, obviously we know now, like we're moms. Like I have 3 kids. I have 12 years of knowledge. I know a thing or two about motherhood, you know? And it is hard sometimes to not judge others. And something that I struggle with personally. So Justin and I don't want our kids to have screen time.
Okay.
And, you know, there's no right or wrong. If you let your kid have your phone or an iPad, whatever, who cares? That's your choice.
Yeah.
For us, Jet did have an iPad. And we just started noticing his behavior changing a lot because of it. And he would want it more and more. And I mean, we're on the road a lot. So it would just be easy to hand him the iPad. And then at home, it would be easy to hand him the iPad. And I'm like, no, like we're going to play. We're going to build something. No. And at restaurants, you know, it is so easy to just hand your kid the iPad. And, you know, Justin kind of said, look, I want to take it all away. Like, I don't want to do this. I want us to be able to sit down and have a conversation. And with a 3-year-old boy, that's a little difficult. Sometimes at restaurants, we don't sit still.
Yes.
Hey, but we got out. We're at a restaurant, you know, whatever. And so we're not doing screen time. It's difficult. I do see other families, and I'm like, man, like they can just like hang out. And that's hard, you know, because I'm like, it's just so easy to just hand it over to them. But ultimately, like, I want to have conversations at dinner with my kids, and I want them to make eye contact and order. Like, I try to get Jet, he's 3. Obviously, Kenzie can order food by herself, but I try to, like, have him, you know, have the conversation. Can I please have water?
Yes, that is so important. And social skills and just interacting with other people is so important. Whether they have a screen or not, put the screen down for half of a second to make that order, ask a question, whatever that may be. Because like Xander's not old enough to have an iPad just yet, but I will not lie. In the morning times, if I'm getting ready and he is just screaming his head off, and I'm like, I have to put pants on, son.
Yeah.
I will turn like Little Baby Bum on Netflix and just put it on and let him sit there with the nursery rhymes and play and, you know, give him toys. Yeah. That's screen time still. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Exactly. And there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, there's not. And as long as you're also teaching some of the other fundamental stuff, like, I don't feel like that's super terrible.
No. Oh my gosh. So on that note, this is something crazy, and you're about to experience it. Now that he's 8 months old, as he's getting older, have you noticed, you might not have yet, but you will. Okay, there's 2 things. I have 2 complaints.
Okay.
About restaurants and making it easy for your kids. Restaurants don't always have a changing table.
No, they don't.
Like, what am I saying?
No, they don't.
What?
Or if they do have a changing table, it's nasty. It's barely hanging into the wall.
Oh, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not putting my kid on this. No. I am not putting my baby on this.
And then another complaint that I have, so this is one you'll experience soon. Restaurants, a lot of restaurants, not all, don't have a coloring page anymore. Like, I understand, you know, I mean, that's probably substantial savings.
Yeah, it probably is really expensive for them.
Yeah, but so when you go to a restaurant and your kid gets, you know, a coloring page and a crayon, I mean, that's when your kid learns how to play tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Or do a word search.
That's a great point.
And
I guarantee people stop doing that because so many people bring their iPad or whatever else, the phone, and why waste the money on crayons or a coloring page?
Oh, for sure. Substantial savings.
If somebody's just going to hand them the iPad, you're going to put this paper on a table. It's going to get wet because somebody's going to knock a drink over because, you know, it's inevitable.
Always.
And then,
always.
And then, you know, you've wasted money on something that's not even being used.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
But it makes me sad because I'm like, whenever we go somewhere, I always take a journal now, especially
that's
because
a good
idea. We don't do screen time. Just so we can color. And Jet, I speak about Jet so much right now because he's really like
where your kids are at. You've got, Kinsey who's older. She's more self-sufficient. You don't really have to, do anything for her. And then you've got Oakley who's, completely dependent on you. Yeah. There's nothing that she can do on her own. And then you've got Jet who's, right there in that middle phase where he's independent, but he still needs your help sometimes. And so he's definitely where I think your focus would be.
For sure. For sure. And he's a comedian. He thinks he's so funny. Okay. I know this is a little off topic of minding your own business, but so since becoming a mom, what have you cherished the most? And I mean, there's a million things. So but I'll say so one of my things that I love so much is seeing their personalities.
Oh my gosh. I have talked about that so many times, is that Xander is he's such an interesting little human because he's so good. God bless me with the perfect little child. He's so good. If we go out to a restaurant, he just chills and does his own thing and he plays and he'll eat whatever you put in front of him. And then
that's the best.
And then he's also so active. He is giggly and he's so smiley. I just love to see his little smile. And he loves his daddy. And he's just so social. He'll go to anybody. He'll talk to anybody. He sits in the back seat and he just gabs. And I love to just listen to him. And so his little personality is just,
oh my gosh.
He's sweet and quiet. And then he has his moments where he really breaks out of his shell. And then he has these times where he just plays by himself. And then other times where he plays really well with other people. He's just so, he's not one or the other. He's kind of all around. And so it's so cool to see him grow and learn and just honestly change every single minute of every single day.
Literally. They say it goes by so fast. And then you're wait, you're about to be planning a
I know.
1-year-old birthday party.
It's crazy.
Literally.
It's crazy.
I was talking to a mom the other day and we were talking about our daughters and Kinsey's 12. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's more out of the house than in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
She's going to be gone faster than, yeah.
And it's just one of those things. It's here we are entering 7th grade. Are we sure? Are we sure?
Do you ever feel you look back and you're did I even have a kid?
Oh.
Am I even a mom?
Oh my gosh.
Who is this little person?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from?
And I'm thank you, Lord. You trusted me with these kids, but are we sure? Oh my goodness, am I doing this right?
Oh my gosh.
The constant, am I doing this right? Because, I mean, so even since, we grew up, I remember being able to, go for walks around my neighborhood with my friends at 12.
I would never let Xander at this point.
Never. And
I need to be able to see you at all times.
Oh, Justin calls me a helicopter mom. So I don't know if he's told you this story or not. Whenever we first started dating, he would tell me, stop being a helicopter mom. Stop being a helicopter mom. And I'm I cannot help it. I need to see her at all times. So one day, him and Kinsey thought it was funny to put helicopter sounds on the TV. And anytime I walked into the room, they would play that. And they were just dying laughing.
That is funny.
I'm just funny. I mean, I try to tone it down a little bit.
It's hard because you care about this little person so much and you only want them to be, safe. And the world is just, and don't get me wrong, the world was dangerous when we were kids.
Yeah.
But social media has just absolutely taken it to a next level.
Exposed so much.
It has taken it to a next level.
Yeah.
I mean, how easy is it to find somebody?
Literally. It's scary.
Even if Kinsey doesn't have social media, how easy is it for somebody to find your social media?
Oh.
And figure out where you live.
Exactly.
Or where somebody works or what somebody does and what school they go to and how easy is it for them to know their names and it's scary.
It is.
Or what people can do with just a photo these days.
Oh.
Alter it in ways that
oh my gosh
is disgusting.
Literally.
It's scary as a parent, It
is. And whenever Justin had told me that he wanted one more with Oakley, I was are we sure? The world is just getting scary. Are we sure?
Yeah.
And now literally.
You can imagine.
That's my caboose. She completed our family. And gosh,
Yeah, we're 8 months
needed
in.
her.
So when I was pregnant and we had the baby shower, my mom was our baby shower host, and so she had Brady answer a bunch of questions. And one of the questions was like, who will want another baby first? And we both answered that I would. And here we are, 7 months in, and Brady's like, I need another one right now. And I'm like, pause. You need to step all the way over there.
Like, you wait a second.
I might be okay with just one at this point in my life. Like, so yeah, it's funny that the men are like, we need more.
Oh, I know.
We need more.
And I mean, here we are. Like, so Justin races. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have RV life a lot. And
that's a lot with 3 kiddos.
Oh, he doesn't even realize how much I'm packing up. Bless his heart. But sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, you don't know what all it takes.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was already a lot with Jet and Kinsey. And then throwing Oakley into the mix, I'm like,
well, and with a baby, you got to pack everything but the kitchen sink.
Literally.
And, I mean, bless, because Brady helps a ton. I mean, he helps with, like, picking him up after he gets off of work.
Yeah.
He doesn't really help with the drop off. And he told me all the time, I'm like, you could go drop him off at school. And he's like, I think I'll cry if I have to drop him off.
Aww.
But with pickup and stuff, or like, hey, we're going to the lake, or we're going out of town, like, he knows what needs to go in the backpack. Is it perfect all the time? No. Because I'm like, you realize it's cold outside and you packed a tank top.
That's funny.
But he knows what goes in the backpack and is able to help. Because yeah, it's a lot.
Justin, did you hear what she just said?
Hey, Justin, you need to help. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, and I mean, even Jet now, like, we're potty trained, but you still have to have a change of clothes. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, whenever we go to restaurants or whenever we're anywhere, I have to have like a journal or something for him to.
I will say one of the really cool things about today's world and technology and social media is that you've got all these moms out here that are posting like, hey, this is what I pack when we get out of the house.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not your iPad stuff. It's the cool like finger paint with no paint. Yes. Right?
I got this water thing.
Like, that's awesome.
I got this.
When can I buy that?
You like put water in like a marker.
Yeah.
And then like
the page.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I gotta bring that.
Then we'll have to start linking some things.
Right? No, exactly. Exactly. Because you need it. Okay,
oh my gosh.
So to end this podcast, let's talk about either a mom fail or a mom win for the week. What was your mom fail or win for the week?
Well, we talked about earlier about how like you don't know what everybody's weekend looked like.
Yeah.
My weekend was an interesting one to say the least. And so I have a mom fail, but I have a story before the mom fail. And so a few weeks ago, my husband and I were headed down to visit my mom. She lives down in San Antonio, and we got in a car accident. Mm-hmm. We were okay. The car is totaled. So we have been on the hunt for a vehicle since 4th of July. Finding a vehicle is not super easy in the market that we have right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're dealing with insurance, and you got to have things paid off before you go buy a new vehicle and all this stuff. So Saturday, we spent the entire day driving all around Dallas, me, Brady, and Xander, looking for a vehicle. So Brady brought me back home and dropped me and Xander off and said, hey, I'm going to head to McKinney. I'm tired of y'all being in the car. I know Xander needs to get out of the car at this point. Like,
yeah,
chill. So I decided, great, I think we're going to do an early bedtime. I'm going to cook an egg for dinner. It's a new food for him. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
So he took a bite of the egg, and he kind of gagged, which, you know, new texture, right? Then he proceeded to eat the whole egg. And I was like, great, we like eggs.
Yeah.
I took him out of the high chair and immediately to the bath because, I mean, he's, like, covered in them. And I take the water and I, like, wipe his little mouth. And underneath all of that egg, like, hives covering his face. Yes.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was like, oh my gosh. So then I start to see like they're coming up on his body. I'm like checking him, making sure like, okay, he's breathing, he's fine, he's happy, he's playing, no big deal. I call the pediatrician's office and I'm like, hey, what can I do? And they're like, go ahead, give him some Benadryl and head to like a children's ER because it could get worse in the next 2 hours. So hop in the car, head to the ER. They basically tell me like, he's fine, you did good, give him Benadryl, go get allergy testing.
Yeah.
So he's been in his own room, in his crib for the last couple of weeks. And so because we went to the hospital, I decided to bring him into our room for the night. Just cover all my bases. I know he was okay, but you know, your mom heart just feels like he needs to be there. So first part of the night, I had him in his bassinet. around 1 a.m., he was like wrestling around. I was so tired. And so I did the bad thing and I put him in bed with us.
Yeah.
Which, if that works for you, that works for you. It worked for us.
Exactly.
Here and there. We don't do it all the time, but it works for us sometimes. Especially like first thing in the morning, some morning cuddles is nice. About 4 a.m., he woke up and he wanted a bottle. And so when I got up, he was in the middle of the bed.
Oh, no.
I walked to the kitchen and I had the water running. And all of a sudden, I hear my husband yell my name. And I'm like half awake. And so I said, what? And then it clicked in my head. And I heard Xander crying. And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, no.
He fell out of the bed. Saving grace, 1, we have carpet. And 2, our bed is like 2 feet off the ground. Barely off the ground.
Yeah.
But horribly terrifying. And 100% a mom fail. First of all, he shouldn't have been in our bed. Second of all, I probably should have woke my husband up and said, like, hey, I'm getting up and walking away.
Yeah. But what are the odds that, really?
In 8 months, he hasn't done that yet.
Exactly.
But, we're crawling now. And so, my mom fail was hardcore I just let my kid topple off the bed.
So I have a fail, too, this week. Very similar. So I was preparing Oakley's lunch. And I have to, cut her strawberries up, pretty small. Yeah. And Jet keeps saying, Mommy, watch, because, Mommy, watch freaking everything they're doing right now. Mommy, watch me. And then he jumps, 2 inches off the air and, turns and,
He's like, parkour.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm cutting up Oakley's strawberries, and he's like, Mommy, watch. And I look over, and he's, standing on top of the chair. And before I can tell him to stop, and, so... our kitchen chairs are taller, bar stool level.
Yeah.
Before I can tell him to stop, he punch front jumps like he's gonna do a front roll. But instead of making it, completely around, he just dives into the little table thing in our living room. And he has a huge bruise right here. He looks like the Joker right now. So
poor buddy.
Mom fail. I mean,
we're just letting our kids knock their noggins.
Yeah, dang.
It's fine. They're boys. It builds character.
Boys. We will have a boy mom. We'll have a boy mom episode for sure.
Yeah.
But thank you all for tuning in to our very first episode of the MomSense Podcast. I'm your host, Kambria.
And I'm Kyleigh.